men, we are sharpening one another. In some cases, you have lambs, you have sheep, and you have the big old ram. I may see myself as one of the big old rams, but we are all sheep under the guidance of God. And so we are here really to share one with the other. And the given area that we are looking at calls for us to share in a very meaningful way in the context of the discussion just the same, to overcome. Because without that, we will be a whole host of men walking around with burdened minds, guilty consciences, and you cannot really maximize your full potential when guilt and shame is privately carried. You cannot be a meaningful individual pursuing life with a level of self-assertion, with confidence then, if your life is burdened with guilt and shame. And there are many of us who walk around hoping that our guilt will never be made known to them. But as long as there are skeletons in the closet, it's difficult for you to even accept meaningful friendship. Far less to accept love. One cannot accept love if guilt is in the heart. You don't believe that? Just imagine, well, you have little guys here who may not fully understand this part of it because they're not yet married. But just imagine you and your wife in a house and she is constantly saying how much she loves you. Honey, I love you. You are the best man in the world, and all the nice, strong words are given. But you know that if she, or you believe that if she knows some skeleton that you're walking around with, those words will not be said. Are you truly accepting her love? Somebody talk back to me now. As we're talking, it is a question. You're not yet receiving that person's love. Love is only truly received when your faults are understood, your faults are known. I didn't say your sins, but your faults are known, and you are still told that you are loved. Oh, that's right, it's based on truth. However, in our community, we have not really created a space where that kind of sharing honestly takes place. So to a very large extent, we come to sessions like these, and we hear some beautiful things, but to bring them out in our lives is another. Because we are not too sure if we share it at that level, if the acceptance will be the same. But the truth is, there is no temptation that is not common to every man here. Are we together? There is no temptation that we are going through that is unique to you alone. Anybody disagree that? You're free to disagree. That doesn't mean that I will agree with you. But when you believe that you have a temptation that is unique to you, that's the setup of the devil to isolate you for further emotional abuse. The devil does just that. So dealing with temptations should not be a difficult topic for us to talk to if we are honest with ourselves. Is there any man here who can declare, I am free from every temptation? So we're in the same boat, right? Yours might be made manifest in a different way, but the thing about, and I've said it in our sessions in time past, every man here, every man, regardless of who you are, how old or how young, we are all pursuing life, wanting comfort, significance, and control. All of us. There is no man here, no real man here, that is pursuing life without one of those desires driving him. Anybody here pursuing life with one of those three desires? Tell me anything that you can do that is meaningful in your life that is not driven by one of these three things: significance, comfort, and control. If you are pursuing life without that and you are gaining a major goal, raise your hand. So everything we do is driven with a desire for one of those things to be fulfilled. We want significance, so we pursue some things. We want comfort, we pursue some things. We want comfort, significant control, we do some things. We do things driven by those three emotions. All of us, nobody, whether you are born again Christian or not, whether you are Holy Ghost filled or not, all of us are driven by one of those three desires. But in those three desires, we find what I describe as a trap that we are caught in. And if you don't understand the trap, then to resist temptation becomes nearly impossible. If you don't know the trap, then you are forever enslaved. The trap is found for men, and not only men, women also, but since I'm talking to men, the trap is found in your pursuit. You are pursuing one of those three, but from a perspective that is not godly. That's the truth. You want to make me feel as though I'm not preaching. So far? We together so far? Right? We get caught trying to fulfill something that is meaningful. And so the temptation to resist that is not as easy as some of those Holy Ghost people say. There are some people who walk around giving the impression, well, hey, listen, what you're dealing here with is no big story. You know, if you're really a good, strong Christian, that may happen to you. But you fall victim to a given temptation in the pursuit of something that is legitimate. Let us take the worst scenario. No, not the worst, but a bad scenario. A person that we know that may be hooked on alcohol, and they come into church, and you say, but that man is, he baptized, and he's still drinking wine. But nobody takes the time to understand what it is he's pursuing that has not been achieved. Nobody takes the time to understand that there is a desire for one of those three things that has not been realized in his life. And he's so ashamed to talk about it among us that he bears it all alone. And the only way to cope with that is to opiumize his mind. Many of us opiumize our minds with religious things. A man who is not godly opiumizes his mind with alcohol and drugs. I don't know. I can't see the guy's eyes, you know. I'm talking and the sun is shutting your faces away from me, which is not too... I like when I'm talking to see how you respond. That's why I'm asking you to talk back to me, because I'm really not seeing you. I hear and I know it's Joe down there. I can't see him to know if he's behaving well or not. But that's where our trap is at. We are all caught. That's where our traps are created. Because we are going after that which we desire. And it's a legitimate desire. Comfort, significance, control. Legitimate. However, we go about it in one of two ways. One may both of them cause traps. A Christian is also trapped, you know. I use a strong word, but I chose it. Paul says, I'm enslaved to this thing. So it's either you are trapped God's way, or you are trapped the devil's way. But there is no freedom in the true sense of the word. Every freedom has its limitations, its limits. And one has to choose it then. But I'm saying that we didn't have the essential point, the traps that we have to deal with, how to overcome those. And if you are not convinced that each of us, we are driven with a desire, one of those three desires, then you'll never see yourself as possibly being in a trap. If you deny that everything you do is driven by one of those three, you can find yourself in a state of follyful comfort. You know my word? You're feeling comfortable, but it's stupidness. That's what follyful comfort is. You can rationalize it in your head because you're pursuing something that is legitimate, but from the wrong perspective. It's like, I really want to get to Port of Spain, you know, but I'm taking a taxi heading down south. And I'm getting a ride that feels good, but I'm not heading Port of Spain. But in your head, the ride is good. It's a trap. And unless you understand what causes the trap in a man, you will forever be denying the possibility of being trapped. And you may be in a trap right now, but because there's a level of comfort and follyful comfort there, you could be denying the path that leads to good success. Follyful comfort. That's right.
Wow.
That's right. So here is a guy who has marital issues. He really wants comfort, significance, and everything there. He's not getting it. So he picks up the bottle. There's a kind of comfort he gets in there. And you could tell him what you want. There's a kind of comfort he gets in the bottle. It's follyful, but he's comfortable there. Bound to jump. Attitude takes over. Follyful comfort. And I'm saying, we are all prone to be ensnared by a trap if we deny the realities of those three legitimate desires that drive all of us. Any question or thought so far? I just laid the foundation for the presentation. Any question or thought?
I want to ask a question, and in that same context, just driven things.
I could stand here, okay?
Do Christians always be driven by that? Or if they are not driven by that, then it's driven by something else?
I repeat myself, whether you're a Christian or not, everything you do is driven by one of those three desires. Why are you serving God?
I love him.
What a gift to you. Huh? What benefit there is for you in that?
Life eternal.
What is that?
To live forever.
You play with words now. Isn't that comfort? Isn't that significance?
Yes.
We are driven. But what we may call it like different names. But everything we do is driven by one of those. Yes, my friend. You're saying something. Yeah, you're saying something. What you're saying? Say it for others to hear now. Huh? Just let me go to it again. We don't just talking about what makes it appropriate, inappropriate, right or wrong, is the perspective from which you seek to satisfy it. The trap comes based on the perspective you use to satisfy it. And it becomes a trap because there's follyful comfort that can be had while going about it. We understand so far? The question is a good one. Do we understand what I've just said? My young friend there. I know that face. That is dare to be a man. Good. Tell them we come up in August again, huh? Good. Yeah, but since I'm talking to you, so far what you have believed? Now, I'm just talking to my young one. So far, what you understand me saying? The follyful comfort comes based on the perspective from which you seek to satisfy one of those three desires. Yeah, tell me what you got so far. Say again? 3 desires, so far beautiful. Yeah. What are they? You going good so far? Help him. He just said one. The second one is what? Significance. Beautiful. And let me get another young fellow. Yeah. He said significant, control, and what? You can remember. Help him. Comfort, significance, and control. Those are the 3 desires that drive every man. It drives your father. It's driving your father if he's around. It's driving every man. We all are driven by that. And the point I'm making is, pursuing those desires is either from 1 or 2 perspectives. From God's perspective or a non-God's perspective. It's clearer now, right?
Yeah.
You relate to it from the devil's perspective. It's the same search for comfort, significance, and control, but the devil is now telling you how to do it. So God says, listen, don't eat the fruit. And the devil says, no, don't take on God and eat it. You can get what God says you should get without doing what God says. So you can get happiness without pursuing life the way God says. He offers you a path that is different to what God would have given. That's the trap we're talking about. And I'm saying a person can find follyful comfort pursuing life from the devil's way. They feel relatively comfortable. Hey, what God is talking about? I feel, you know. And look at him, he has to drink each day or smoke every day, but he's cool. But is it the path that will give him real life? But he's comfortable, relative comfort is found there. And therefore he is entrapped. Now, regardless of God or the devil perspective, there is an allegiance that is formed where you are called upon to be subjected to the perspective or the holder. I'm telling you confusing now. Regardless of what perspective you choose, you become enslaved or you are under the authority of the one who is holding that perspective. And the only 2 of them is either God or the devil. We together, people?
Yeah.
Now, traps are really designed, and you're back to you, to catch or to contrive to catch. That's what a trap suggests. And why the desire to catch? Is because there's potential in the victim, the potential the victim carries benefit to the prey. The devil knows that if he catches us, there are benefits to him. God wants us to be under his control so we can give him glory. We are there because the one who is in control of that perspective become master of our lives. And we then are driven to satisfy the desire of the one who is holding that perspective. It's on the sheet. All right? Now, I placed two references that I want us to read together, because this is absolutely important. The first one is found in John chapter 12 and verse 24. John chapter 12 and verse 24, it says, let's read together. Truly, truly, I say to you, unless a grain of wheat falls into the earth and what? Dies, it remains by itself alone. But if it dies, it bears much fruit. Now that's the challenge to any life that is in a trap. If you stay there, your potential will not be fully realized. No man can fully realize his potential away from God. Regardless of how much he would have achieved, there's so much more for him to achieve if he were in God. That's the second one. The second special note that I have there. God creates everything out of nothing. And everything God is to use, he first reduces it to nothing. Now we see that one is where a whole host of persons back away from the reality of God and how God functions in their life. That's how God functions. Huh? Nobody comes to God having something to give to God. God doesn't need anything from us. There's absolutely nothing we can give to God that will make God more God. And everything that God has to use, he reduces it to nothing. And so if you read the Bible carefully, you'll see that we are saved not by any good works that we can do, but by grace. Yeah. Victory as far as God is concerned is not about you kind of drilling yourself and working yourself up with a frenzy to satisfy something. No. God wants you to come as you are, but there are some things that will be required. One, you have to fall and die. No, that's a big challenge. Because men generally believe that, not only believe, we are created to have dominion. Every real man wants to have dominion. And I use the word dominion here very guardedly. We want to be in control of our space. I have a work, let me be able to handle the stories. I have a wife, let me be able to handle the stories. I have children, let me have them. Every real man is driven with that. And we are basically trained and raised by society and the family in which we grew up to kind of just function that way. But here comes how to overcome temptation and how to be victorious. We are being told that we have to do two things. We have to fall and die. Now that sounds scary. You know, when I walked in here, I saw one of my brothers leaning on this. This is a man-made stuff, right? And he has been in here and with all his attention placed there, and he's pretty cool. And when I look down there, I start kind of, and I asked him, if God told you to stand there, would you do the same thing? We give human systems a lot more confidence than we give God.
True.
And therefore, when we are called upon to fall and die, that sounds ridiculous to many of us. Me, it means I have to just surrender all so-called manhood. Because you know what, some of our heads, manhood is about being in charge. It's about me being this. How do men come together when they come together, talk, casual talk? Basically, I'm talking about big men and not little boys. And even little boys, when they come to talk, it's about who beat who. Which football team better than the other. It's like there's a competitive attitude among men all the time. That's what drives us, really. And here we are called now upon to fall and die. That sounds crazy. And so many men back away from God when it comes to this particular truth or this requirement. That's why you see the church has a whole lot more ladies than men. Ladies are used to surrendering. Why look at me that way, Leon? Ladies surrender. They surrender to us as husbands. They easily surrender to the preaching of the word. Not men. Men are more critical and analytical in their ways and such alike. To fall and die is not something easy for a man to do. And so, brothers, I want us to understand that. So when we are dealing with one another, don't anticipate a man falling and dying because you say fall and die. Our wiring doesn't naturally drive us to do that. There has to be a deeper conviction. And the deeper conviction must not be resting in what another man says. It has to rest on the reality of who God is in that person's life. That's why we have sessions like these. Because if a real man can only find his sense of self in God. And so the devil doesn't bring any new thing to a man, really. All he tells a man is to take what God gave him and relate to it from a non-God-like manner. That's all the devil does in it. The devil doesn't give you anything meaningful. He takes what God would have given you and tell you relate to it in a manner that is not godly. So he gave you a wife, God gave you a wife. And the devil says, listen, that's your story, boy. Handle that how you want to.
or he gave you children. And the devil take you handle that in some ways that are not godly. And I'm saying for all of us now, thank you, my brother, I'm saying for all of us that it's on. I put it on. Oh, we took it off. Yes, we took it like the first place. Right. And all the devil does is to take the things that God gave to us and try and insert in our minds that we can get what God says without doing what God says. That's where our trap is at. That's where our trap is at. And every trap has a lie, a functioning haven, a big fear, and a manner in which it is worked out. It's right here on the handout. Every time the devil comes with a trap, those are the components of the satanic trap. One, a lie. God said, God didn't say that. You can get it without what God says. A lie. A functioning haven.
Okay, so first of all, the lie, it starts off with a lie. The devil makes you believe that what God says is not accurate, it's not acceptable, it doesn't carry the authority that it says. One of those three things. It starts off with a lie. Try to discredit God and cause you to believe something else. Then secondly, it has a functional haven. That's where follyful comfort is at. It offers you something that gives you a sense of ecstasy, but it's empty ecstasy. Not every feeling that you feel good is good. You feel good because you smoke a thing, doesn't mean that you're good. You feel comfortable because your head's sweet. That doesn't mean that you're really comfortable. Your mind is just opiumized. I call that follyful comfort. That's a haven. And so you find that in every form of a man who is in a trap, there is a manifestation. There's a haven of comfort that he functions in. So you find some big men will find it comfortable sitting out all day playing games. No, there are big men who will do that, you know. They will play games all day. And things are falling all around them. What are they looking for is comfort. Is comfort they're looking for. But from a non-godlike perspective. And in every one of those follyful comfort though, there's a kind of silent scream that comes to that man. Why I call it silent scream, because it's not something that is easily verbalized. He sits down there and he's playing the game, or he's drinking the rum, or smoking what he's smoking, and his head is evading the issue. But the moment that dies down and the reality hits him, he's in a state of depression. I call that a silent scream. He's crying out for something more. How to overcome that, I believe, is what we are talking about. And no, I may have spoken about drugs and such like, but we could be snared or entrapped by a number of other things, you know. To overcome is a task in life that we cannot get away from. Because life itself, young men will take this for a guided thought to your life now. There is no life that is meaningfully lived that is void of challenges. Let me say that again, and most of the young men who are with us. There is no life that is meaningfully lived that is void of challenges. You can't have a real meaningful life if you are not facing your challenges. Life is a series of challenges. And so don't take on the guys who want to make you believe that life is a breeze now. Just come and hang out and blow time away. You cannot achieve anything that is meaningful without related to a challenge. And therefore don't be afraid of challenges. Challenges really say, now listen, here is the opportunity for growth to take place. The thing about it is, because life is a series of challenges, every challenge that you succeed in prepares you for the next challenge. But every challenge that you fail, you are taking one step back because there's no growth in life that you have not achieved that will allow you to go on without dealing with that failure. No, nobody with me. And therefore, dealing with challenges become the reality to life. But how do we do that? And more so when the devil would have given you the wrong path to go with. Let me hasten on then. Because like Leon offer you guys some special dinner, so your mind is on that already. Now there are 4 key realities essential to deal with temptation. How many? 4. There are 4, and please remember those. If you didn't get one of these, get it from your friend or whoever it is now. Because there are 4 key realities essential to deal with temptation. You cannot effectively deal with temptation ignoring these 4 key realities. So if you really want to overcome, you need to take close note to what is now being said. Number 1, the first key. What is it? Somebody help me? No. What's number 1?
Ruthless honesty.
Ruthless honesty. That's the first key. You have to be ruthlessly honest with yourself. Ruthlessly honest with yourself. You're going to get started that way. If you're not honest with yourself, a facade will be a comforting space for you to function in, but never realizing your full potential. You have to be honest with yourself. Where I was born and where I raised and the exposure I had and my propensities, check them out closely. Be honest with yourself. You can't take off life without meaningfully relating to that. Being honest with yourself. In other words, then stop the pretense. Don't go on pretending, and that's something that is pretty common in Adventism. To pretend. As a matter of fact, we walk to church, hey, say how things going, man, good. That's it. That is the expected answer. You know, and if at all he stopped to say, well, Pastor, I know something, I go to the next brother one time, you know. So it's like the person, a space for honesty is not being created. So we live with this air of pretense. How things going, brother? I cool, man. How the family? Man, we're on top of the world. When in fact you wish to get out. Or you may be doing some things to open your mind from the realities that you're going through there. But you have to be honest with yourself. Stop the pretense and remove the mask. Have you ever heard in church a testimony where a person honestly stands up and says what God has taken them out of? What? Like, you mean his job? That's a nice thing to talk about. To talk about some of the wicked things that the devil had you in. And me talk them kind of thing, and then when you look at me thereafter, I never thought he had them kind of life, but I thought he was a good man. Many times persons are driven to wear masks. If you know everything about Wayne Sampson, you may not even want to call me pastor. No, but I'm saying that's what our community demands of us to a very large extent. So we give what people expect of us. And that's mask wearing. We sit down sometimes next to the wife in church when the wife wishes to get up and walk away. Because things aren't cool. We wear masks. Our children are around church and they hear some sermons and they know that things aren't right, but we wear masks. So the first key reality, essential to deal with temptation, we need to be ruthlessly honest with ourselves. Remove the mask. The fact is, and we cannot deny it, and anybody who does, right now it is a deeper mess than they think they are. We are in a mess You are a mess and I am a mess. Somebody with a challenge that I see. Brother, you listening? My friend? Nothing yet? My friend? Huh? We can check. Oh, beautiful. I can go ahead. And this ruthless honesty must be a way of life. Being honest must be a way of life. Ruthlessly honest. That's the first step. Now, Isaiah chapter 1, 4 to 6 makes that clear how much of a mess we are in. That's the truth. Second key reality that we need to, so the first one is to be ruthlessly honest. The second one is to admit struggle and temptation. We are, and hear me, we are broken men living in a broken world. That's why we feel so comfortable sometimes in our brokenness. Because all around you, other broken persons are there. So hey, we all broken, so say what? But we're broken. Broken men in a broken world. And which of us escaped that really? There's no man here who was born in an absolutely well-functioning family. None of us here. Your father and mother did the best they can, but that still wasn't all that would have been needed. That, who's that? Well, you can make it worse even if you were. Because Adam himself messed up. And therefore, to admit that struggle and temptations are real to each of us, we have natural, unhealthy desires for things of the world. Somebody wants to challenge that one. Our propensity to go to things of the world is a lot more endearing than to the things of God. We have to discipline us a bit. I'm going God's way. But we find ourselves drifting in stupidness very easily. We think twice, you right there, another shape, I belong here. That's right. Even with Christ, and we are Christians, we have tension in our desires. No, not me, boy. I cool. We ain't talking about me this evening at all, right? But if you're going to overcome temptation, you better admit that's the second key reality. Idols attract us from our highest point. Temptations. And the thing about it is, the devil knows the material you are made up of in it. There are some of us, the devil will not come and tell us go and steal, or to rob in the callous manner. But we might be in the market selling. I ain't sticking up nobody with gun and what have you, but hey, listen, instead of 16 ounces, take a 14 now. The price is really $20. Give it 25 now. We drift to the negatives and we find reasons to justify it. Right now in our community, we have discovered in the Adventist community, over 30% of our marriages end on the rock. In Adventist, I'm talking about. Going fast like the world. And you'll find those same people will argue why they are right in doing that. We drift to evil. The propensity to do that, and don't be upset with a man who does that, because if you are there, it's only then you know whether you'll do it or not. And you'll find it easy to debate why it is right or why I have to do it, and God will understand. So that's the second key. The first key is be ruthlessly honest. The second one is admit struggles and temptation. And the third one, know that there is grace. Now, if you understand what grace is, you will really say like my brother, hallelujah. If you really understand grace, you know, we use that word, but to a very large extent, many of us don't appreciate what grace is all about. We are saved because of grace, really enough. Because just imagine, God saved us from sin, but our propensity to sin is still within us. And everything that is of sin is adverse to God. Yet God is calling us his children. It's only grace. Everything that we have around us is because of grace. We are sitting here alive because of grace. The breath we breathe is because of grace. And whatever sin destroys, grace restores. Somebody needs to say that after me now. What sin destroys, grace restores. Help me with that one. What? Come, let's do together, please now. Together. What sin destroys, grace restores. So sin might cause me to pursue my legitimate desires in an ungodly manner. If I admit my struggle and temptation, whatever sin destroys there, grace can restore there. Amen. You'll come to understand then that to overcome temptation, for you to overcome is not within you without grace. Because we are messed. We cannot clean ourselves. We can't help. You could tell a dog stop barking. Could a leopard change its spots? Likewise, we who are sinful do that which is good. Without God, without grace, we will mess up and feel comfortable in mess. And that's why God called us sheep. Not pigs, you know. Have you ever gone to a pigsty? A pig is not a very dirty creature, you know. A pig eats one place and it filths elsewhere. Not sheep. Sheep will be in the trough eating, urinate in the trough, filth in the trough, right where he's eating. We are called sheep. And if the shepherd is not there to clean that trough, that sheep will mess around with his own filth looking for food between there. Sheep. No, nobody heard me, right? Yeah, no, like that. Yeah, we know about sheep. I bring them wrong. Yeah. Yeah, nasty. And God called a sheep. Without a shepherd, a sheep is really messy. We are mess. And that's the point that is being made. So all the good things Pastor running around and saying he's doing is grace. Hey. If anything is good about Wayne Sampson, it's grace. And there is nothing for me to boast about because it's grace. Neither you know, bro. Can I get serious in It's only because of grace now. And it's a free gift. And I guess some of us can't believe that now. To a very large extent, you know, we are accustomed, and it's because many of us preach against the Catholic Church, but many of us are Catholics. we want to do penance. We have to do something for God in order for us to be saved. When grace is available, the temptation that you are going through right now, if you are ruthlessly honest, and you admit it, and you cry out for grace, that is what Jesus died for. And there are two references in the Bible that gives me the assurance. One is in Jude 24, unto him that is able to keep you from falling, and the other one that says, is him that work in you both to will and to do. Now put those two verses together and you'll see that your victory has nothing to do with you doing something, it's you surrendering to what God can do. Are we together, people? Yes, sir. So the first key is what? Come on, stay with me now, man. The first key is what? The second one? And the third one? Grace. And then we come to the fourth one. The fourth, heart change. Heart change. Now note you well, people, that this noble fight that we are in is not about behavior modification. Many a times, when people come into Christianity and among us, we look for behavior change. But it's more than just behavior change. God is, you see, behavior modification without heart change is high pretense. And when you have behavior modification without heart change, all that you have really is a criminal in waiting. Explain that for me, my friend. Don't tell me you're just listening now. I'm going to say it one more time because I want you to say it in a way that other guys can help me here now. You look like you can help me. I'm saying that this noble fight is not just about behavior modification. Wherever you have behavior modification without heart change, you have high pretense, hypocrisy, or you have a criminal in waiting. Huh? There was this guy, I mean, I actually did business with that guy too, huh? It was my second car that I purchased it from him. A very quiet guy, quiet, everybody knew him to be quiet. One evening, big commotion in the place. How many persons died and why? Someone took a cutlass and yanked out the woman's head, trapped the sister, and was going for others. Having failed, after killing one and damaging one, he went home and killed himself. I was surprised as to who that man was. Quiet behavior modification. Quiet as a dog. But there's no hard change. Or think about a young man that is growing up in a house. I'm going to be talking about some young man here right now. You're growing up and your father big and strong. He's the one paying the bills. He's the one buying food. He's the one in whose house you're living. So you're a small fella. Boy, come here. And you run fast because daddy talk. Go here, boy, and you run fast because daddy talk. And daddy telling you to do a whole host of things and you're just doing it. But you're grumbling and and it's like you're wishing that sooner or later I'll get big enough for it. And somewhere around 13, 14 years, the old man talk to you again and you look him in the eye. And says, okay, now you're talking to a man, you know. And he's surprised. Because that's what I'm expecting for my son. He was getting behavior modification without connecting with the heart. And I'm saying that happens in Adventism a whole lot. We want our children to have behavior modification without connecting with the heart. How many fathers I have here? Come on, help me. Oh, yeah, good. I'm doing daddy too. So we have a whole lot of fathers here. Now, to get behavior modification is not difficult if you're strong and robust, if you're holding the money and such like. Your wife will obey. Money coming to it, but that doesn't mean that she has changed. You only get real when the heart is changed. Now I said all that to talk to us too, because that's true. We try to modify our behavior with God, but when the rubber hits the road, the pretense drops, the mask is removed, and we no longer have a Christian who's saying, hey, God is for real. We now begin to question who God is. Behavior modification, it calls for a change of heart. A change of heart. And to get a change of heart really calls for you to stop and look at the one who is saying, I love you. Singer, you are married. When you met your wife the very first time she was a girl somewhere, you asked her to marry her one time? No. if he had tried that, he might have gotten a slap, right? Most likely. He said most likely. But they've gotten a slap or some kind of rejection. For you to really surrender your heart, it calls for you to be in the presence of and receiving a consistent manifestation of love that you feel safe enough to make yourself vulnerable to. But the truth is, many a time, we don't take enough time to consider who God is. What is it? I don't know what they're talking about. Yeah, for the change of heart. Now, I understand where we're going with it. The change of heart that is required here calls for you to be in the presence of one who is consistently, meaningfully demonstrating love to the point where you can make yourself vulnerable to that individual. That is surrender of heart. And I'm saying, many of us don't take time in the presence of God that way. We tell ourselves we have a spiritual life, a social life, a work life, and we have a whole set of lives now. Like we have, all of us have become tomcats. A number of lives we have. But we have one life that we ought to spend in the presence of God. Everything about your life can be found in God, you know. It's the devil who wants to believe that you can find love outside of God. You can't find love outside of God. No. God has everything that a man needs. And don't take on some broken men, young men that you see around you. There are some whole host of broken Adventist men who are giving the wrong impression of God. That this church thing is a waste of time. It's like they're going down to the grave and they have never achieved nothing. Who is this God?
Wow.
But it calls for a hard change. But for a hard change to be realized, you have to be in the presence of God. You have to give God due respect. You have to acknowledge God in all your ways. And he said, when you do that, I will direct your path. It calls for a hard change. That girl caught your heart because she had you in your presence. That's the truth. How old are you, young man? 12? Well, you far from that now. What about the next one you see? 20? Yeah, you're the prime thing now. when she begins to do some things, and not you well how they do it. They bleed their eyes a whole lot and dress up fancy and what have you. What are they doing? It's trying to get you into their space for you to observe them long enough so heart surrender could take place. That's how it is done. That's the natural form to life. And with God, it's the same thing. God wants us to spend time with Him. In order for us to know, hey, listen, this God loves me now. I can give Him my life. No, I was once young. And yes, I'm now old. I could say that. And God has never failed. That's the truth. I have accepted this ministry called men's ministry because I honestly believe that Adventist men, we have so much to achieve with God. Even notice, every time I'm asked to come by a hardly say no. Because there's a passion that drives me as far as this is concerned. There is so much for us Adventist men to achieve in God that we are not achieving. But the thing about it, we are told to do, we are told to be without, we are told to be without, we are told to do without being. That's the truth. The moment they come into church, it's to do, but how to be. Now, that's the reason why I think that this topic is one that is so meaningful. How do we overcome temptation? Everybody telling you overcome. Stop doing this. How to do it? But how to do it? I'm ensnared. I'm trapped. I can't help myself. And you're telling me, get out. Without telling me how to get out. But here comes the answer. Number one, there are 4 key realities. Number one is what? You're telling from a please now. Now, especially the young ones, Because they're going to face life. As for me, I am drifting. One foot is already down inside there, and the other one sliding towards it. My time is almost finished. But they're going to face life, and in this cruel world, you better get his keys, young brothers. Let this be real, not just another talk shop by some old man. This is for real. There are 4 key realities to beat temptation. Number 1 is what? Be honest with yourself. Be honest with yourself. Number 2, admit your struggle and admit your temptation. Admit it. And the thing about it is, like David, you will discover if you're honest with yourself that who you are is not who you chose to be. I confuse you, right? David was doing some terrible things in it. And the man of God came and pointed out to him. And David found himself in the presence of God. And in order for him to overcome temptation, he had to be, first of all, ruthlessly honest. God is against you and you alone are sin, really, you know. And he went on to talk to God. And there's one part of his prayer that has given me victory. And that prayer was, God, I was born in sin and I was shaped in iniquity. In other words, what he is saying, God, this is the end result of some issues and coming together that I had no control over. And if you read the psalm well, you see him saying, well, God, you are the one now to purge me now. Because my mama can't purge me, my papa can't purge me, because they have me this way. Society can't purge me. Society can, no, because they mold me that way. In order for me to be changed, I need to line up now. You have to line me up, God. I messed up bad. That's the truth. He was ruthlessly honest. He admitted his temptation. And he knew that grace was available, so he didn't go crying to mama. He went talking to God now. And then the 4th one, he said, now listen, God, the heart change is what I need. I can't just pretend anymore, because I will see another Bathsheba. Now, I don't think the young men understand who Bathsheba is. And the young men all know who Bathsheba is? You know, good. But the others may not. Bathsheba was the woman that David saw. She was taking a bath, and David saw her. And his imagination went wild. And he actually got that woman into bed. The woman got pregnant. To get away from the whole story, he killed the woman's husband. Messed up. And when he checked, when he was honest about it, he was saying, God, I was born in this, you know. If you check out who his father was, look at the lineage. And look at the space within which he was raised, and you'll see that he was only the product of his environment. Many of us are trapped. I'm going too long? He was trapped, pursuing one of 3 legitimate desires, but from a non-godlike perspective. He was comfortable. Hey, I'm king, I could get that woman. I'm king, I could put the man to death. Devils. But he was looking for control, significance, and comfort. Same thing. Same thing. And so the change of heart becomes absolutely necessary. And you cannot change your heart. Garbage in, garbage out. In each of our heads, nobody excluded, we have information inside here that will mess us up. Only a matter of time. And some situation come and you see how messed up your mind is. If God doesn't step in, you will choose to do some things and be comfortable doing it because your head is already programmed with messy information. And you didn't choose it. I remember I was dating at the time. I'll tell you my story now. I was living in a place called Las Lomas. My girlfriend at the time wasn't even my fiancée yet, but my girlfriend. She was living in Chin Chin. I was a young elder in Chin Chin Church. My girlfriend living in Chin Chin. And so I have to leave St. Helena, go down to Chin Chin to see her, But it was pretty cool because I'm the leader of the church down there. So after church, I would go line a bit to see how things running. It happened so that this brother of the church died. Between St. Helena and Chin Chin, there's a cemetery. Now, it was not as bright as it is now, even though it is still there. But it was not even as bright as that now. In Chin Chin in those days, you're walking, as until you touch the grass, you know that you're leaving the road.
Yeah.
That's how dark the place was.
Yeah.
So the brother died, and I being the leader of the church, I'm the one who preached this sermon. And hear me preaching, friends, for the dead knows nothing and what have you, and waiting for the second resurrection and such the like. But in my home that I grew up in, my father's from Tobago, when the moon came out, he found it pleasurable to tell us stories.
Yeah.
All kind of stories he will tell us. So he told me one thing at home, and in church, I'm hearing one thing. I was preaching what the church says, but in my heart, what my papa told me resonated there. So here it is, I preach a sermon as the church wanted me to preach it. Bury the man right in the cemetery, and noted well, he was right at the first grave. So you can walk, when I'm walking there, you can see the site. And see me, I pronounce everything right. Went to church on Wednesday night. After church, I stayed and I'm liming with my girlfriend. And you know, when you're liming with your girlfriend, time in time now. Hey. Suddenly you live in eternity. And time went by, and 9 o'clock, 9:30, 10 caught me in Chin Chin. No taxi, no car. I have to walk from Chin Chin to St. Helena. And I started walking, I have to walk. And I have to pass that same cemetery. I just preached, you know. That around 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, I preached. Went to church, and now I'm walking past the same grave that I said the man rest until Jesus comes. And by the time I reached by the grave site, I didn't have to plan it. I didn't have to make a choice. My feet were working on their own. And they weren't walking, they were running. Wayne Sampson was literally running. And in my head, I'm running from what? And in my head, a number of thoughts started to fight up in my head. What my father used to say, tell me, and what the church that I preached about. Why are you running away? I'm sure I ran for a mile. I'm sure about that. I would have run after Bolden for sure. I was running speed. And while I was running, these two thoughts in my head. What I preached and what my father told me. And it took me a long time to stop running. When I stopped running, out of breath. Well, God wasn't satisfied with that. Wayne, if you're going to break the fear about death and believe what I have taught you in the Holy Word, you've got to face your snake. You've got to face what the devil is saying. Go back. Breath. But myself and God had a long, hard talk, friend. But that was, we have to go back. I have to go back. And what took me about 8 or 10 seconds to run, I'm sure it took me 1.5 hours to go back. Every step was a laboring step to get to that cemetery. When I got to the cemetery, I stood up there and I'm still arguing with God. God, you really want me to do this thing now? It took me a long time to do just that. I thank God that it was broken. Why am I telling you that? Because to get out of a trap is not as easy as we tell ourselves it is. There are some things that we were raised in that are riveted in our heads that only the time of conflict will prove upon what foundation your house is built. What do you say, my friend? No, I didn't see no wet. No, just what my father told me went along. And David was now saying the same thing. I was raised in this. And it's because of where I was raised and where I was born There are some things that I find it comfortable doing that it's not right, and I know it's not right. I know some Adventist men who beat their wives. Yeah, I know. And they'll walk to church thereafter very, very calm and nice. Church big too. But talking to them, you'll come to understand why they do such things. Raised in an environment where they saw that that is what Mama told. They saw the mother taking licks and still being a good wife. So he believes that that's how to treat women. If Mama took it, my wife will take it too. That's not a make-up story, that's real. And I'm saying in all of us, there are things in our heads that were given to us that we need to be honest about. That's where ruthless honesty kicks in. Be honest about your space. Who are you? Answer that question. Honestly answer it. Where I was born, where I was raised, the influence that was given to me. And without blaming, hiding, or making excuses, come to understand that you have to admit your struggles and temptation and know that there is grace. Whatever sin you have destroyed in my life, grace can restore it. It's not about you. To be victorious, young men and senior brothers, it's not about you doing it. It's about God doing it in you. But note you well, it calls for a heart change. God is not in the business of just behavior modification. You pretending that you're okay and you're cool doesn't satisfy God's requirement. You're accustomed committing adultery. And you walk in church and you see the sisters and the desires kick up again. Not doing it doesn't mean that you have not done it. Uh-oh. You don't hear me? You're literally here. And that's the reason why you've got to be honest with yourself and talk to God about it. God wants to change not just your behavior, He wants to change your heart. Yes, and it is God who both will and performs it. You give it to God, God will handle your stories. Therefore, Ezekiel 26:27 says, God makes a promise. He said, no, I will give you a new heart. That's a promise from God. Therefore, our battle plan, this is our battle plan from now on, brothers. If we want to be successful, if we want to resist temptation, if we want to know how to overcome, these are the three lines of our battle cry. One, admit the struggle. Second, identify the lie. Is it a cry for comfort? Is it a cry for significance? Is it a cry for control? Identify the lie. Take some time with you. What is the lie the devil wants me to believe here? I want comfort, but what is the lie that the devil wants me to be like a getting with? Or be honest. Identify the lie, but then replace that lie with truth. Hallelujah. So three words: admit, identify, and replace. And here I have those two biblical references here noted. Jude 24 and Philippians 2:13-15. No saints, no brothers, no man who is in God fails. We can overcome. We are designed by God, or not, we are selected by God to be overcomers. Amen. He has given to us the steps to overcome. Any man that is in the church, or being call himself a Christian, who is succumbing to sin, needs these steps. And if you do, and honestly relate to them, I can guarantee you, you will be more than a conqueror. Amen. I don't see myself better than any man in the church. I don't. I have lost loved ones because of sinful stupidness. I've lost. I had a half-brother in Tobago. He died 1 week after his wife left. And the doctors could not understand what killed him. Went to his funeral, and here comes this woman crying her heart out. We never need to do that. No, was not that young woman. I won't tell you where she's from. He never thought he had that soul. Because she overdosed him with whatever she gave him. But he got caught because he was pursuing comfort from a non-godlike perspective. And I had to be honest with me, Wayne Sampson. Because my father never left my mother. Never did. He was forever home. I saw him home all the time. But I also knew that he was a womanizer. And that was real bad. He and my uncle will sit down and talk about two subjects, women and Bible. And to them, women were just an entity. Nothing. I had to be honest with me because that's where I was raised. And if I wasn't honest with myself, I would be hurting the woman that I say I love. Because that's the role model I got. This is what man ought to be. I give you money, you just behave yourself in the house now. Let me do what I want. I'm coming home. And so what's wrong if I have a next woman in the house? I'm not taking care of you. That's the kind of attitude. Wow. And there's a kind of comfort in that, you know. Even in my father's death, he was a sweet man. Or maybe I have a nice husband here, you know. Man there. One has to be honest with oneself in order to break some things. To overcome temptation, you have to get started with that, young man. Be honest about it. Where you came from definitely will impact you. And only when you hit the road, you'll know how much it would have impacted you. I never knew I was afraid of death the way I did until I had that circumstance. I thought I had it covered. When I preached that day, I was preaching with all my heart. I never knew that having to walk there will cause me to be afraid. I never thought so. But it was inside of me. You have to be honest with yourself. Admit it, identify the lie, and replace it with truth. And the truth is found in those two biblical references. It's unto God who is able to keep you from falling. And God can do two things in your life. He can will it, and He can perform it. If you give God a chance, you are more than a conqueror. God bless you.